Hello, it's Crypto CJ. It's the Friday afternoon, evening Zoom call and trade of the day. We are at the end of the week, and the market has been mostly consolidating this week. But I did come across a kind of cool prediction, so I think I'll start with that. Share my screen. Okay, should be seeing an email.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so I selected the paragraph. You can see it, over 19.7 billion flowing into Bitcoin and Ethereum today. This is about the same we had back in December 2020 before Bitcoin surged 18K to 65K. So I thought I would start with that kind of positive energy. We'll see if that happens. I know a lot of us are hodling Bitcoin and Ethereum. I know I do. It's not my main source of crypto income, but we'll see. We'll see if we can get that pump. We're hovering around 41, 42. Let's go to my Bitcoin chart. And oops, same thing. Sorry, guys, I'll figure it out. Okay, that's Ethereum. Let's start with Bitcoin. Day chart. 42K, I drew this little zone here, this consolidation zone from last few days, going back to Wednesday the 6th. It's between 44K and 40,500. It had Bitcoin's dipped a few times in the last couple of days into the 40s, but bounced back before hitting actually 40K. So that at least is our short-term support. I'd like to see that hold, throughout the next week or two, see if we can get that break up to 45K, maybe even 50. That would be exciting. Ethereum 2200 seems to be hanging in there as support, at least in the short term. We broke through this zone, and and the zone I'm looking to see for us to hit next would be 3,000. Let's put up the supply and demand range. Let's see what Algo has. Okay, so their zones are bigger, and the green zone they've got it way down here, in the thousands. So I don't think that's real useful, but I think that's why I didn't use that for this illustration. Similar on Bitcoin, if you click that one on, I like this tool in my day trading. We've looked at it many times. Right now, it's got the range up here, and then down here, the support around 25.5. Again, let's hope it doesn't break down that much. So that's my impressions on the market overall. Any questions, comments, or additional speculations?
I'm still going to stick with my 50 for the end of the year for Bitcoin, and I don't know, 2,500 maybe for ETH.
I like it. I'm leaning towards that, maybe a little short of that. Someone else was jumping in.
Yeah, I was just going to say, go back to the Ethereum. I was going to say between that bottom box and the top box is virtually no resistance, is there? It's just
Not much. I mean, we
pretty
have to
much
go
a clear
back.
run.
Yeah, we have to go back here. Last spring, and that made a big drop.
Yeah, so there's not a lot of clear points in there either.
Not really. That's why this is kind of funky looking, because I couldn't find good resistance points, for this top range. But I think that's why the Lux Algo one is so broad. It's going all the way from 2101 to 30. It's $1,200. What percent of that?
I don't see Ethereum
50%.
doing that. It's just been moving too slow. It's slow and steady, and it's getting there, and it's doing it on its own. It seems to be breaking away, even though it's following Bitcoin.
Yeah, I really liked the comparison, Bryce. Was it Bryce, or maybe it was Bryce yesterday on the CryptNation call, showing the Ethereum Bitcoin pair.
Yeah.
And that Bitcoin's doing much better than Ethereum. So I don't know if that'll change,
Right.
or is. Yeah, it's
Can't
this
have been
year.
Bryce. Bryce wasn't on the call yesterday.
Yeah, okay, maybe it was Brendan, but yeah, it was I think it was Brendan, come to think of it. And yeah, Bitcoin's been beating up on Ethereum the last several months. We'll see if that holds. I own both of them. I'm sure you guys do as well. So I'm
Not
obviously
enough.
pulling for both. Okay. Any questions or comments on the markets before we move on to Altcoin Alert? Okay, actually, I want to talk to you guys about something. Now, the last couple months, you've seen my charts like this. It's got the supply and demand showing the zones, and mostly alerts on the RTI using the cumulative delta as confirmation. But it occurred to me, and I've received a few comments, but this can be difficult to follow. I mean, if you're new to day trading, this might be a bit intimidating, maybe it's just a mess. So you might recall earlier in the year, I was using divergence and, more to the point, super trend to identify decent entries. And my thinking was to bring back at least the super trend, maybe divergence as well, and then add those with the supply and demand visible range and incorporate those. They're going to be quite a bit easier, I think, for at least new people to understand and incorporate into their trading if they so wish. I was curious what some of you OGs think of that. If you prefer the RTI, or maybe I could talk about 4 different approaches, or is that too many? What do you guys think?
I think you've got to do something really simple to start with. I mean, you might be able to flick on some, turn on some of these more complicated ones, but don't leave them on all the time.
Okay.
But
Yes,
I
my
think
question would be,
simple chart.
difficulty noted. These are all new to me, but which ones work better in your opinion?
Yeah, the RTI has worked better for me recently, but that could be a function of the market.
Right.
But it's been consistently good. I use the RSI and the 1, 2, 3 dip approach, which is pretty similar to what I'm doing now. Whoa, I got some background noise. Okay, mute all. Okay. So I just want to see if you guys would be open to, I think I'll try it. I'm sort of re-investigating those, and I'm going to look to do so throughout next week. So it's something I would try either at the end of the month or at least in January, to maybe have 2 different layouts, say the easy layout and the more complex layout, and show on both of them. And well, we can try it. If you guys hate it, let me know. I'm sure I'll hear from you.
For me, the only one that I haven't grabbed onto since you changed it was the cumulative. I like the MACD better.
Okay.
The RTI, RSI both seem fairly similar and equal to me.
They're
And I
pretty
do
similar.
like the zones and what you've got on the top section.
And let me get back over there.
CJ,
Yes, sir.
you might, I know it's more work for you, but you might do a video of the various indicators and what you look for and how you use them. And then you could refer new person, hey, check this video. I explained this. I explained this one, in more detail than you can when you're more interested in just going through coins, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. I have a video like that, but it needs to be updated. I probably did it 2 years ago. So there's more Bollinger Bands and RSI, MACD, where now I'm obviously doing something different. So it's a good idea.
Of the people that are on here right now, what is it that doesn't make sense, or you don't get, or you don't understand, or why? That's what I'm curious.
Yeah, but I considered throwing that open, but I want to put people on the spot. But that's a good question. But I do get messages from people trying to figure out what I'm talking about. And what I don't want to do is for people to join a altcoin alert and then see this kind of thing and then get intimidated and go away. So
Right, oh, sure, of course.
yeah. And Marshall's put some thoughtful comments in the chat. So
It seems like the cumulative delta is the one that is more problematic for people.
yeah.
The target market is new people, so
Right.
well, that's what I thought. So, you know, the simpler you can keep the indicators, the better.
Yeah.
Well, it's simple to me, but I used it, so I know that's not a fair way to look at it. So
Okay.
it's just the cumulative delta just tells you how aggressive the buyers are. Are they buying on the ask?
Mm-hmm.
Or are they putting in a bid and sitting there waiting for some price to come down to them? So you have your volume bars there, and they're just red or green, but they don't show you how red or how green. So I think that's extremely important information. I know you don't put the volume profile on there, but if you put the two together, it shows you how the market makers, they slowly accumulate. So you get a string of little green tips on the cumulative delta, and there are more little green ones than red ones. They're slowly accumulating. Then they start boosting the price, pushing it up. And you go across those clusters where there's no volume on the volume profile. So how do they do that? How do they run the price up? Well, they load up cheap. Let's say they buy 100,000 tokens, but then they buy 100 tokens at a time and they pay higher on each movement. Every minute, an algorithm buys 100 at a little bit higher price, and then they buy a little bit higher. So there's very little volume on the volume profile as the price is running up until they get to the top, and then the volume increases again because there they start unloading, and you'll see the volume grow there. So you have those big gaps in the volume profile where the market makers, the institutions are manipulating the price. And that shows you why there's no volume when you see a big run up. Like Craig was pointing out, that there's no volume in that space above, what was it on Ethereum, right?
Ethereum.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They'll run it up, but they've loaded up already. And they run it up on low volume, but they boost the price on each trade. So it looks like, hey, this thing's taking off. I better jump on, which is what they want you to do. They're experts at manipulating, you know, human emotion and the FOMO. And so you jump in because you think it's getting away. And then when they get to where they want, they start dropping it and you're stuck. You got trapped.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I've dabbled. Go ahead.
Well, it shows you that they're loading up, then they stop buying. Those green arrows get small, you'll get a few red ones. And then at some point, when you're up in the red zone on the supply demand, you'll see a bunch of red ones start to happen. And that's where they start unloading. And you'll see it if you go to smaller time frames, the small little trade, because they can't unload 100,000 coins at once. So they you know, they sell 1,000 or 5,000, whatever it is. And so you see smaller tips on those candles. That's how I view it. I may be wrong, but that's how I see it. And I also look at divergence on the RTI. When you see a big drop and you see a big red zone, it really drops way below the zero there. And then the price goes down again, but the momentum isn't staying up with it. The momentum is less. You know, they're starting to turn the market. That's how I view it again. So anyway, you see a higher high, but less on the RTI or lower low.
Mhm.
The RTI is not as low. So that's how I look at it. But I know I've been doing this a lot longer than a lot of
Yeah.
people. So new people say, what is that guy talking about? I don't even know what he's talking about.
Right, and you know, I use the cumulative delta a little simpler than that, and but I'm trying to figure out, you know, can I do all these approaches, or do I need to
Oh,
emphasize the
you gotta
easier
do,
ones?
you gotta
or-
do what most of your
Yeah.
people want you to do. That's what
Yeah.
you gotta do.
Yeah, so that's what I'm pondering, and that's why I threw it open today, because you know, this call tends to be shorter than the Monday one, and so I thought I have a little extra time. But well, thank you for all your input, guys. I've got something to think about, and let's get started on Altcoin Alert, see if we can find some trades for the weekend. Okay, Altcoin Alert. I'm on the Altcoin radar. I'm going to reload. Come on. Oh, my computer froze. Okay. So we're looking for, on the AA score, which is my first sort, I'm looking for values above 80. And this is telling us, Altcoin Alert is telling us that there's an 80.2% chance that dusk is going up 3 to 5% the next 48 to 72 hours. Obviously, I'm looking for some of my favorites, and sometimes I see numbers that are worthy of further investigation. I'm in a trading group where people have been talking about this helium project, so I thought we'd check that out on Coinbase as a potential spot trade. So I had that one up here on my 15-minute chart. Let's go over to the 5. See if we're in a dip trade. We are not. Got the green zone here at 728. This could be a good place to place a price alert like this. Right click, add an alert. I like round numbers, so let's do that. And call it whatever you want. AA score purchase. My notifications, I'm going to notify in the app, show a pop-up. App is my phone app, pop up on my computer, and then I'm going to play a sound and choose whatever sound you like. This probably one's my favorite, 3 notes reverb. Click create, and you're good to go for your price alert on the 5-minute chart. But that's not really what I like to do. I like to use the indicators on the 15-minute chart. You know, we just talked about the RTI and the cumulative delta. This is what I've been using for the last couple of months. And using these together, I've had some success. Also, letting the supply and demand visible range keep me out of bad trades. I'm not going to go long up here in the red zone where resistance is. I'm not going to go short down here where support is. That significantly reduces my chance of success. So what I'm looking for is, on a long trade, there's a couple of ways to go. You've got a dip below the 20 here on the RTI and a break back up. That's a really good entry usually. That's a dip and a retrace. So I'm going to get in here and try to ride that up for a while, or at least 1% if I'm trading on leverage. But this is HNT. It actually is on leverage on Bybit. So you can't do it that way. If you're trading on a spot, on a spot account, you'll probably want to look for prior resistance. So had you taken this trade, let's put my vertical line here. I'm seeing resistance here at 535. Then we have the middle zone at 572, 573, and then the red zone here at 640. That probably wasn't there when you took this trade. So yeah, the red zone would have been right where I identified the prior resistance. So that's probably where I would have used this value as my exit on a day trade. And so I would have gotten out probably right around here, around 5 to 7%. That's a really good day trade. So I really like these entries that dip below the 20 and come back. I've done really well with them the last few months. They sort of simulate the 1, 2, 3 dip on the 5-minute chart that I've been talking about since I started this. So that's what I like about it. You can do a trend trade also. Instead of crossing the 20, wait till something crosses the 50, this middle line here. That would be this kind of thing. And you get more confirmation. You get the cumulative delta trending up with multiple green candles. And it's a pretty good confirmation. They are starting to peter out a little bit here. So it's not great. It's not ideal, but probably worth an entry. Plus you're still in the green zone. And so that would be another potential entry. You could also wait till it pops above the 80. That's often confirmation of a pretty strong trend. And in this scenario, it breaks above the 80, dips back down, and then really explodes. So if you took that trade above the 80 here, and let's see where the zone would have been, probably pretty similar. Yeah, the red zone would have been around here at 528. Yeah, it's the same one. So maybe you could set an alert there instead of exiting, or exit half your position. And, at that point, that you got some nice fat green zone action here on the RTI. You could just stay in it and keep an eye on this, and maybe get out here. I mean, it never does dip below the 80 again, so you could, if you're really ambitious. I probably don't have this kind of patience, but Frank might. So just watch this.
Yeah, I do.
This stay in the green. I know we've talked about that before. This
So
is a spot trade, so.
Okay, look at the cumulative delta at on the 13th there, just past the 13th. See all those tiny little green, hardly any length. They're not tall. Somebody is loading up all the way there till just before 12 o'clock. I don't know whether that midnight or noon. I'm not sure. But all those green, an institution was loading up, not trying to move the price. And then boom, they're ready. And then they do that long run in the last, whatever, all the way to the top. And they're just playing games with you. That's how I view it. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but that's what it looks like to me.
That's very cynical, Frank. I mean, don't you think these are well-meaning people who believe in this project and are buying it?
The institutions aren't. What do you think? I don't know. You tell me.
I'll cop out and say it's a blend. There's some well-meaning people and some market manipulators and some institutions and all of them. That's what creates markets. So yeah, I got a chat message here. Okay, so Marshall's asking, so with the RTI, if the blue line is below the green wave, is a good sign for potential entry. That's not how I use it. What do you think, Frank? This is your baby a little bit more than
the blue line is the average. And your green or yellow, whatever that's supposed to be, a green, I'll call it green. That's the actual indicator.
Yeah. Like
so you can use the crossing of an average up or down as the trigger, if that's how you want to use it.
Yeah, Marshall. So if you want to use it that way, do so and get back to me. So, but I haven't used it that way. I've mostly used the RTI just to get 1% on my day trades, but Frank uses it as a swing trader and stays in usually till the green zone dissipates. So.
When you get a big swing down and there's a big red, like inverted mountain, it's just huge, right?
Yeah.
And then you see it start to turn up, and that yellow or green line crosses. Look where it crosses. Move your yellow line over right about there. I wouldn't take the first one necessarily because you haven't had enough green on the cumulative delta yet. A little more to the right, go a little farther, to the right. A little more. Take, it's gonna dip there, right in there.
Mm-hmm.
You see that first bigger green one on the cumulative delta, just 2 bars from your,
Yeah.
and it's crossed over, and now that starts the move for a swing trade. That or look, to me, there's no difference between a swing trade and day trade. Day trade is the swings are littler, they're shorter.
Sure.
It's the same basic idea, though.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking for the same criteria, the same parameters as to go in or not go in. That's what I try to do. I don't win every trade. Nobody does.
Mm-hmm.
But I try to get out if I make a mistake. But it's an ego thing.
Yeah.
This
I hear
is
that.
why women are better traders than men, right? They have less ego, generally speaking. So I'm right. The chart's wrong. I'm right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, let's we'll probably
Sorry,
not, not explore
I-
that subject, but that's
sorry.
an intriguing
Yeah.
idea.
And I would stay in as long as it's above the 50%, and I would stay all the way to the red up there, and that's I would take the whole thing. What was the percent there? I am in helium, by the way. I bought it 2 days ago.
Attaboy.
So I'm up 25% in 2 days.
Cool.
But do what from top to bottom? What was that showing on your chart? What's the percentage there?
I'm not sure where you start,
Yeah,
but from the
well,
the
just-
yellow one, the yellow line.
from your yellow line, clear over there with your ruler, and go up to the top. What do you
up
got
to
there?
82%.
Ah, there you go.
Gave it back a little bit. Well, a lot of
Yeah,
bit, 58%. But yeah, I'd say this is a little misleading to back test this with this zone because that's it would
Right.
have been down here as it
Sure.
goes up. But
Run the chart all the way over. Slide your chart to the right
mhm,
so that the far right edge is where your yellow line is.
yeah,
And then you'll know what it looked like at the time.
yeah, I
Can you
keep,
slide it? There you go. Now let's let the red and green reset.
yeah, and this was I was talking about
Right,
earlier to
right.
determine your exit on more of a day trade. But
Right.
they can go ahead and stay in if the green's still there. If you want to keep an eye on it. So, all right, well, good stuff.
Well, I'm not trying to sell anybody on this. If it helps you, great. If it doesn't help you, don't put it on there.
Yeah. Okay, so what do we do with this information? If you want to set an alert on the RTI, right click on it, add an alert, and the crossover 50 is the first one that comes up. You could go once per bar close, and again, call it whatever you want. Yeah, I'll just go ahead and set this one. So this goes away. So that's the 50. And if you want to do what I talked about earlier, more of a dip trade where it breaks below the 20 and comes back up, then that's going to be add an alert crossing up on the 20 once per bar close. And again, call it what you want. A score purchase. And it's going to retain the information that you used on your last alert. Then if you like that 80 value better, add an alert once per bar close. Sorry, crossing up on the 80. And you might even want to put some more information on the alert name. It'll usually tell you the message will tell you what's triggering your alert, crossing up 80. So those are 3 different alerts you can put on the RTI to catch those moves. The higher the value is in a bull market, the more likely it is to trigger. So, if it's putzing around this 80 and you have an 80 alert, it's going to go off multiple times on a 15-minute chart. So be aware of that. And if you want to short this, It hit the red zone and dropped down, broke below the 80. So you can, let's say you want to trade both directions. That's what I usually do. So that's going to exit a channel. And the channel is 80 to 20, so it's 80 on top. So I got to get a new one. I said that every day for the past 2 weeks. And I call this a 1, 2, 3 dip pump on the, when it breaks below the 80 or breaks above the 20. So actually, that's not correct. Exiting a channel is breaking above the 80, something pumping or something dropping, and you're catching that ride. So that would be my AA score purchase. You're entering a channel if you're doing a dip and retrace or a pump and retrace, entering a channel. So that's where it breaks above the 80 and then comes back into the channel, or breaks below the 20 and comes back into it. That was a bit of a mess, but that's how it works. If you've been with me for a while, you've heard me explain this multiple times. So hopefully that, yeah, that was useful. Okay, Marshall's asking me which indicators I'm using, because there's multiple versions of the same one. I will bring up, I hope I starred the one I use on the RTI. It's the one by Zierman. So that's the one I use on the cumulative delta. Nope. So, okay. Any questions on HNT? Very well. We will look for, should we short something this weekend? You know, if we're trading in consolidation, yeah, let's short something. So let's go to Altcoin Alert. We looked at the AA score before. Let's go to long-term sentiment. And there's a couple of ways we can approach this. We can look at something that's very bullish. And now this is, Altcoin Alert's telling us that this should come back, even though it's been beaten down 14% today. So that would be one way, is that you think this is going to trend down, and so you short it for that reason. Another approach is to find something that's been pumping and then short it because it's probably played out. So we looked at HNT as a short briefly. ICP, I like to short. Storage, I've been trading a lot lately. I do trade Woo and Bluezell occasionally. So let's look at ICP as a short. I like shorting that one. Our friends at CryptNation aren't fans of this project, and so sort of in the Doge and SHIB category, but not quite. Let's take a quick look at the 5. Broke above the top of the Bollinger Band, then trending down quite a bit. Now we're, yeah, I don't want to short down here at the bottom of the Bollinger Band unless I feel pretty confidently it's going to keep dropping. We are still above the mid zone and not close to the green zone. So you could put a price alert up here in the red zone, say around 750, give or take. And if it bounces back up, and check the rest of your data and see if that's something you want to short. Okay, on the 15-minute with indicators, a similar situation. It's broken into the red zone and bounced off of it going down. And we just dipped below the 80 on the RTI. Got strong candle action on the cumulative delta. So this could be a go. I'll make this bigger. It's hooking a little bit. That probably wouldn't discourage me. Green candle forming, but it's tiny. So I think this is my short of the week. Not financial advice, but I'm gonna try to pick up a quick 10% on this. And we will see. And the alerts are the same as I showed you on the prior chart. if you're focused on a short, you'll do it a little differently though. Add alert on RTI. We're going to cross down on the 80 once per bar close. And this was a long-term sentiment. And click create and you're good to go. I took this trade already, so I'm not going to set an alert for it. And then you can set alerts on the way down as well. You know, crossing below the 50, crossing below the 20. These are a little riskier, but you know, they can be lucrative if the market's really moving in a strong direction. Okay, any questions on ICP? Well, we are at about 40 minutes. I'll throw it open to questions about Altcoin Alert or these trading setups in general. I do have another Zoom after this, so I'll probably cut it off here. I usually go through at least 3 coins, but we had that long intro period where I was seeking your input.
Could we look at Adam?
Linnell wants to look at Adam.
Yes.
Okay. That's right. We talked about this on a call of our own. So we haven't talked about swing trading today that much other than Frank's example. So let's look at Adam as a longer term trade. So when I'm looking at a swing, I mostly use support and resistance. I'm less interested in the other indicators. And you don't have to be super precise on your entry on these. So on Adam, we had a break up here to about 1235 as trended down. We lost $11 on this today. So that's a little disappointing.
You're not sharing your screen.
Oh, shoot. Thank you. I thought I was going to wrap this up, and then I heard Linnell pipe up. All right. So on the 4-hour chart, looking for a good. So where do we rebuy in something? I know Linnell, if you don't mind me sharing, made a purchase on this and is trying to figure out where to get in on a rebuy on a long. So I think the green zone would be a potentially good place around 895. You could also, it might bounce off this middle zone here at 1030. So those are 2 areas that I would look to get in if I were, say, underwater and wanted to build a position through a ladder buy on a swing trade. Those are the 2 areas I like. Any other swing traders want to chime in on that? Okay. Linnell, was that helpful?
Thank you. Yes.
All right, good. I'll wrap it up here then. Thank you so much for joining me on a Friday. If you're watching on the recording, hope to see you live next time. I'll be back on Monday. And if you're watching on the recording, please check out the opportunities in the pinned comment. They help support the channel. If you're in Carbon, I will be doing a K2 Zoom call starting in about 20 minutes. You should have the link for that through the K2 group and or the Telegram group. So see you guys later. Have a good one.